Hi, I'm Taylor Smurl,
And I'm Tommy Smurl.
and this is
Neat.
Neat. Welcome back, Dad.
Why, thanks, Taylor. Glad to be here.
Wow, we have electricity again, and that's important for recording
Yeah.
videos and stuff.
Electricity and the ice is gone and heat works and all that kind of stuff.
Well, unfortunately, we missed. So we had our podcast episode about the history of the Sazerac, but we missed
Right.
the video for the Sazerac. And then this week's episode was mainly about dogs. So we thought instead of trying to make you dog adjacent cocktails, which granted, I would have been down for the challenge. I thought that maybe it would be a little bit more educational to just double back and give you the Sazerac recipes that we did not get to give you from the previous week.
That's right. Well, also because along with talking about dogs, we talked about how they didn't really carry liquor with them. So this episode would have been dogs and no liquor, and that just didn't work for us.
I mean, that I'm down for that, but yeah, it doesn't really make for a good drink.
No.
So there will not be a companion video for the Saint Bernard episode, but you are gonna get some cool
Sazerac.
Yes.
All right. So we're just doing the old switcheroo.
Yes. So to review, the Sazerac is a classic New Orleans cocktail. It's sort of in the old-fashioned family. It is 2 ounces of a base spirit modified with just a little bitters, a little sugar, a peel. It's very simple. It's got a little absinthe in there, but it's a very simple drink, and it is sort of the quintessential drink to feature peychaud's bitters. And that's also one of the things we talked about on the podcast. So as we mentioned on the episode, the original Sazerac was made with cognac, and then it was eventually became popular with rye because cognac was hard to get a hold of due to like a wine shortage because of an infection in like the vineyards of France. So we're going to be making one with cognac and one with rye, and we're just going to do a little taste test and see what we prefer. So the classic Sazerac is served in a rocks glass without ice, but we're going to build it in a mixing glass. So we're going to stir it over ice in our mixing glass and then pour it into our rocks glass.
All right.
Our first step is going to be to coat our glass with some absinthe or herb saint if you can find it, but absinthe works fine. If you have like a spray bottle or an atomizer, you can just mist your glass with absinthe, but frankly, I like a bit of absinthe in this drink, so I usually just put a little dab in and just swirl around the glass and let the rest stay in there. So we've got our first glass coated in absinthe. Now going chronologically, we're going to make the cognac one first, I think. We're going to start with our bitters. About 3 or 4 good dashes of peychauds. Now, when I was taught the Sazerac, I've seen a lot of bartenders do this, make it with both peychauds and angostura, or sometimes peychauds and orange bitters. And that's kind of, I think, more of a personal taste thing because, as we learned historically, it was just peychauds. It was identified as a peychauds bitter cocktail.
Right. They never mentioned any other ones to add in there.
Nope.
It would falsify the drink.
You can use a simple syrup. I'm using a Demerara syrup, which is just a simple syrup made from Demerara sugar. You can use a muddled sugar cube if you're one of those people. But we want to use about 1/4 ounce of this.
Got it.
And our last ingredient is going to be 2 ounces of our cognac.
I have Hennessy.
I
It's
too
my
have
cognac.
Hennessy. You've got a fancier Hennessy though, don't you?
Yeah, it's like VSOP or something.
Well,
It's a privilege. It's a privileged cognac.
We'll do an episode about cognac because what that means. That's very special old product. But that VSOP means they're just different grades of cognac.
I'm a VSOP privilege person. I take my cognac drinking seriously. I've never had it. I've seen Justin drink it, but I
Justin does like cognac. Have you really never had cognac? Well, you've had brandy.
I've never had it. I have had brandy. Apricot brandy, to be sure.
That's not okay. All right, and then we're just gonna fill our mixing glass all the way up with ice and give it a stir.
I'm a whirlwind of a drink maker. Oh, there.
All right, now we've got our nice absinthe coated glass here ready to go. And we're going to just strain this with a julep strainer into our rocks glass.
All right.
All right, and then we're going to garnish it with a lemon twist. So you want to expel the oils over the top of your drink, and then you want to run it around the rim. Just drop it in.
Ooh, I feel fancy. I'm going to twist it.
There you go.
Ooh, let those juices run.
That oil in there.
Right.
And you can see, as we were talking about on the podcast, the wash line, it's a little low. Like if you were served this in a bar, you might think you got cheated, but it's just because it's not traditionally served over ice. Like this is the traditional way of serving it, rocks glass, but no ice. And so that means you're going to have a little bit of a lower wash line. That's just the line that the drink comes to in a glass, but that's appropriate. So it should look that way.
I would say, hey, bartender, don't be cheap. Fill me up.
Well, and that's
I'm paying full price.
If you get a Sazerac that's like coming up to here, either they hooked you up or they just made it very watery. So, you know.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, cheers.
Cheers. That's good. I could smell it before it ever hit my mouth.
Yeah. That combination of absinthe and peychauds is uniquely perfect in this cocktail, because that's kind of what makes it different from an old fashioned, and that's really what you get there is that really nice bright herbal cherry note on the front end, as opposed to like the rich deep spice flavor that you get from like an old fashioned usually, you know. It's
a unique flavor. It's not like anything I've ever had.
It's very simple too, you know. We both are using Hennessy. Hennessy is a good cognac. Like the essence of an old fashioned is you're taking a good spirit and you're just kind of modifying it slightly to be more potable. And that's what we're doing here. So if you start with a good base spirit, you're adding some bitters, you're adding some sweetener, you're just kind of lightening it up with some dilution to just make the base spirit sing a bit, you know?
Well, it was singing to me. It was singing about New Orleans.
But as comparison, let's try it with the rye and see if maybe that's an improvement. I think it will.
Well, I like rye, so I have a feeling I'm probably going to like that one better because I would naturally go for rye if I were picking a drink.
Well, and I will explain why I think rye is the better choice, but we'll wait till we have both drinks in front of us. So I'm not going to rehash the method too much. We're basically doing the same thing, but this time we're going to be using 2 ounces of rye instead of 2 ounces of cognac.
All right, so we start with the absinthe rinse. It's hard to say that many times like that.
Absinthe rinse in your glass.
Absinthe rinse in my glass. Absinthe makes the drink grow fonder.
Gotta keep going with this.
Oh, damn it.
Sorry, I'm a little absinthe minded right now. I forgot what we were doing.
I've got my absinthe rinse glass now, and I'm ready to proceed.
Let's go with our patience.
Suffering succotash.
This is just permanent. Now what is that? Is that Daffy Duck?
Something
Daffy
like that.
Duck, right?
Yeah, I think that's who it is.
Or Donald Duck. One of the angry ducks. Why?
Not Donald.
Both of the ducks were like assholes. What is that?
I don't know. That's just the way ducks are, I guess, in the animal world. They're the assholes of the animal world. I don't know.
I feel like that's not fair to ducks. All right. Anyway. Okay. Peychauds first. A little 1/4 ounce or bar spoon or 1/2 ounce, however much of the sweetener you want. But I'm going to use a 1/4 ounce in mine.
I did 4 squirts. Oh, you mean of the simple syrup?
Yeah. I'm using we talked about this on the podcast. Classic American rye, Old Overholt, my favorite. Affordable as hell, delicious, perfect for cocktailing. Why spend money on more expensive ryes when you can have Old Overholt for like, I don't know, what is it, like $18-$20 a bottle?
Yeah, that's what I got. I'd never heard of it, but I went in there and looked. There he was. He's not a very handsome fellow. I guess he drank too much of his own whiskey.
I've got him tattooed on me.
What? Old Overholt?
I do. But my old roommate, a dear friend of mine, when she was moving back to California, we wanted to get buddy tats together. So we drink a lot of Old Overholt together. So we got It's the stupidest tattoo, and I love it. We both have the old Overholt face on our ankles, and underneath it says "Babes."
I don't know why I didn't know that.
It's one of my favorite tattoos.
All right, I put in 2 ounces of that, right?
Yep, 2 ounces.
Okay.
YOLO.
Now I'm going to fill my glass up with ice again, right?
Yep, and you're going to give it a stir.
Ah,
More lemon twist.
okay. Cleaned up my mess. Oh, got to do my lemon twist. Here I'm sprucing the rim with it. And then I'm going to twist those juicy oils. Oops, I broke it.
Oh,
all right.
Well, don't get in there.
We'll double it up and we'll drop it in there. There.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
Yes.
Oh, that is a much different taste than with the cognac.
When you really get into like cocktailing, you realize how much of the process of building drinks is like a game of not even inches, of like tenths
Dashes
of inches.
and dots.
Exactly. Like a small change can make such a huge difference. And I love that this little experiment of Sazerac versus Sazerac is such a massive example of that idea. Like they taste like completely different cocktails, and they are.
But if you go somewhere and order one, you should know ahead of time which you prefer. I mean, unless you're going to do a taste test.
Well, nowadays, most bartenders, when you say Sazerac, will automatically make it with rye. That is pretty much the American standard. And I would argue it is the superior drink. And here's why I think it's the superior drink. The cognac is great, but cognac is very sweet. And when you've got sweet cognac, because, I mean, you can sip cognac on its own. It's sweet. You're adding sweetness to it. Peychauds, while they are delicious, fruity, bright bitters, they don't have that same kind of drying quality that a lot of the heavier, like, Angostura bitters have, or even orange bitters that have that nice bitter orange quality. Like, these are a little bit lighter, they're a little bit fruitier. And you need that balance. You need that bitter in there. Cognac doesn't necessarily bring it to the table. The bitters are a little bit, for lack of a better word, flabbier. But when you use the rye brings back, rye is a lot drier. Rye has that spicy structure to it. And so that kind of helps structure a little bit more. And I think the other like bit of like just really smart drink making there is the subtle difference of a lemon peel versus an orange peel. An orange peel is adding still a little bit of a sweet sense to your drink, and that lemon peel dries it out a bit.
And the rye it just makes it a more substantial drink. It's a heartier drink.
Yeah.
And you feel it. It's one of those ones you feel going down. That's one of the reasons I like rye better than like a bourbon or something, because the rye, you feel that going down. It's got that burning. It's not an overwhelming burning, but you feel that. And I like that in a drink.
I mean, personally, I prefer rye old fashions to bourbon old fashions. I like bourbon neat, but I prefer, if I'm going to drink rye, I like it in an old fashioned.
Yeah. Well, this is something I feel like that you could just kind of sit around and sip on.
Absolutely.
It's not a drink you're going to slam down. You're just going to sip on it as you're there. And I don't know, I think it would last, even though, like you said, it looks like you got short poured. It would last because it's not a drink you want to gulp down.
Well, and I think even like, I like this style of drink without the ice because that's what it lends itself to. When you have a drink served over ice, you've got a time limit on it. Once it's
going to be getting watered down.
Exactly. And if you have a spirit that kind of needs to be chilled, that when it warms up, it's going to get too hot. But I do think this is kind of a good drink for the format because it's diluted properly. It has a good chill on it. But even as it comes up to room temperature, it's still a very like pleasurable concoction.
Yeah. It's still drinkable. You don't have to have it cold. Some drinks, cocktails, they need to be cold to really enjoy them. And this one doesn't need to be, I don't think.
No, I agree. Yeah. So, hey, if you want to, where's my brain? Okay. Sorry.
If you want to contact us in any form or fashion,
Yes. If you want to find us on social media, we are Neat Boozecast on both Twitter and Instagram. If you would like to email us, we are neattheboozecast@gmail.com. You can join our Patreon, be one of our patrons. Rewards come out every 2 months. We send you stickers and coasters. If you want to join our Facebook group, Dad's made a Facebook group.
that's right. We're right there on Meet the Boozecast group. See what's going on. People have been showing us their cocktails and their mixing and their bars and whatever else. I enjoy seeing all that, and that we get feedback from the episodes. That's nice to hear.
Absolutely. Find us where you can find us. Thank you for joining us. Well, I've been Taylor Smurl.
And I've been Tommy Schmerl.
And this has been
Neat. Well, there you go. Venture down to Old Nolans.
I am closing my eyes and pretending I'm in New Orleans right now. I can't wait for places.
Just any place.
Right? I'm like, a Dakota sounds fine. I don't know. Delaware. I'll go to Delaware.
What did Delaware? She wore her New Jersey.